So today we will continue with the course, the Ultimate Obstacle course. There are 5 webinars in this series. So let's go ahead. First, I would like to do a little bit of review. What we have talked so far, like the essence of what we discussed so far. We talk about obstacles, and obstacles will always be there. There will never be a time in our life where there is not even a single obstacle. But we should keep in mind that obstacles are our friends. They help us. It's like they create new opportunities. They make us stronger. They make us look for new solutions, and they keep our life dynamic. And by overcoming these obstacles, we get the strength to move forward. And that's the main thing. So this is the benefit of obstacles. We shouldn't think that it's punishment or just something that is creating just difficulties in our life. It's actually creating new opportunities, new things for us. And the ultimate obstacle course is our life, is spiritual life. So let's get on with our part 3. I will start with a quote. The greatest obstacle in the collective progress of the human race is the ignorance of the individual mind. Knowledge is for all. It should be open and free, like the light and air of the sky. Shri Shri Anandamurti. One of the most important things for us is to have knowledge. And knowledge is actually what helps us to overcome obstacles. When we face an obstacle, it encourages us, it pushes us, it forces us, it creates circumstantial pressure that we will increase our knowledge, increase our capacity, and find the solution. And the more knowledge we can give to human beings, the more they will be able to overcome obstacles, make their life better, and move towards the goal. Sometimes people are struggling with simple things, how to maintain life, how to survive. But if they have a greater capacity, these tasks will not be so tasking or so time-taking, and they can utilize their potential for other more valuable things. One thing about knowledge, it's knowledge only has value if they can be successfully applied in the practical field. So theoretical knowledge only doesn't help. It has to be applied knowledge. And that's the basis of Tantra. Tantra is 99.9% practice. And only 0.1% is theory. So why practice? And where does the philosophy come from? Because there is a vast tantric philosophy. And I'm telling that most of Tantra is practice. So where does that philosophy enter? The philosophy, it comes from the practice. For example, the understanding how the universe functions. Then putting that into a philosophy. And utilizing that knowledge for the practice. For example, if we have the knowledge how the cycle of creation works, so how this universe is being created, how various beings are developing, how mind is developing from a less developed body to a more developed body, so that mind is developing and changing bodies until it comes a point that that mind is going to move towards the supreme, towards realization. Now, if that cycle is well understood, then the practice that is going to take that mind back to the original point, or to the cosmic entity, to the cosmic consciousness, the practice will also be very systematic, because if we understand how the process works, then we can also think how to bridge the gap between the limited and the infinite. So the knowledge has value when it can be applied. And knowledge can be knowledge of the physical world. Nowadays, people spend a lot of time. They go to kindergarten, primary school, secondary school, high school, and university, masters, PhD, and they are learning a lot about the physical world. What about the mental world? The mental world is even more complex than the physical world. What about the psycho-spiritual world? Now it's taking the mind from the psychic level to the spiritual level. That is even more complex knowledge. So there is a lot of knowledge, and the real knowledge is spiritual knowledge, realization, when one can realize. That's the real knowledge. Continue talking about spiritual life. So even here's another quote, okay? Even after getting human life, only a few get the opportunity to listen to dharmica, or spiritual discourses. It means there are billions of human beings in this world. From these billions, just a few have the opportunity to listen to a spiritual discourse. Now, amongst those few, only a few develop the desire to practice Dharma sadhana. Means from the billions, a few hear about Dharma, but only a few develop the desire to practice it. And then they start practicing. So, and even among these, only a few actually grasp the spirit of sadhana. So from all the billions, a few hear about spirituality, a few start practicing, and even fewer get and grasp the spirit of sadhana. Those rare ones who understand, who perform sadhana, and reach the goal are truly blessed. So it's even a small number. There is a great number of people, they learn, but then they stop. And one of the secrets in sadhana is never give up. Just persevere, continue, never stop. There will be waves and waves coming, but we have to keep the engine going. We have to keep doing sadhana and moving forward and overcoming all the difficulties and clearing, and one day we can reach the goal. So very few reach there. Now, in this effort to perfect oneself. Even if one faces obstacles and hindrances from one's elders and near ones, one must ignore them. So obstacles may come from the people near us, from the people close to us, our relatives, people we respect, because they may not understand. So we sometimes will have to ignore the obstacles from those people. And in this quote it says, this is not a sin, it's not a crime. It means it's something that we may have to do. And I personally, when I started meditation, I didn't get any support from people who were close to me, relatives and even friends. But still, there was something within me that gave me the inspiration that I have to continue and I cannot stop. And one point, I think, was that I really decided to practice. When I learned the meditation, the day I learned meditation, the acharya or the teacher who taught me, I was talking with him after learning, and what happened was that I was expecting that the moment I learned meditation, I will immediately feel something super special. But it did not happen. And I thought that, okay, maybe this meditation is not the right one for me. And I expressed that to the acharya. I said, this meditation is not working. And he said that it's not like that. It's something you have to practice and you have to do it every day. And I asked, so how long should I practice? And then, you should practice twice a day, and you should practice for a certain number of minutes. I don't remember exactly that part, but I remember that twice a day. You have to practice twice a day. Then I asked him, and how many times do you practice? And he answered, I practice 4 times. And I thought that if he practices 4 times, why he's telling me to practice only 2 times? So I should also practice 4 times. So I continued practicing 4 times or at least 3 times every day. And I think that's what gave me the inspiration to continue and to go deeper and to overcome all the obstacles around me when people couldn't understand why I was practicing and what was I doing. So obstacles is a common thing in spiritual life. Another quote, one who wants to attain the goal must not be too concerned with obstacles on the way. If one thinks of the obstacles, they will themselves become the goal and not the supreme. That's why in the field of spiritual sadhana, one must always think of the supreme, not anything else. So what's the point here? The point is that we have to continue practicing. We have to keep our mind focused on the goal and not on the obstacles. We don't need to understand why these obstacles are coming or this and that. We need to just think of the goal, think of the supreme, and move ahead. And the obstacle will be there for some time. We'll fight against it, and everything, and eventually it will go. So the obstacle should not be the object of ideation, but the supreme should be the object of ideation. So that's really important. Focus on the goal. Now, obstacles will be coming, but you are focusing on the goal. So if you focus on the object, then you will go towards the object, because mind becomes what it thinks. So if we think about the obstacle, then we go in that direction. So this is a very important point of the tantric spirit, to think always of the goal and keep moving. There be physical obstacles, psychic obstacles, so many obstacles will be coming, but we keep focused. That's the goal, and move towards the goal. So continue. While thinking of this goal, if some opposite feeling comes in the mind of the aspirant, he or she should not think of this. From where are the obstacles coming? This should not be the topic of discussion. What we have to reach, this should be the topic of discussion. So sometimes we want to understand why this problem, why that problem, but that's not necessary. It's necessary to focus on the final goal. Now, why this obstacle? It doesn't matter. The obstacle will come, will pass, and one day it is gone. Maybe it will stay 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, but eventually it will go. But we are keeping focused on where we want to reach. So that's one really important point in our spiritual life. So the obstacles can be physical, can be psychophysical, can be psycho-spiritual, can be spiritual, but it doesn't matter. What matters is the goal. We keep the mind focused on the goal, where we want to reach. So sadhana, or the process of meditation, is a must. We have to carry it on all the time. We can't compromise on that part. That's the engine that keeps us going. Our final point, the process of Tantra is raising the Kula Kundalini, raising that spiritual awareness. In that process, we get more and more control over our propensities. And the result is that we overcome whatever obstacles come in front of us. So if mind is strong, if the mind is focused, then obstacles cannot penetrate. And eventually they will just disappear. And finally, a summary of what we discussed today. We talk about knowledge. Knowledge should be free, should be for all, and it's very important to give knowledge to everyone as much as possible. And one of the greatest obstacles for people's development is lack of knowledge. We also talked about Dharma sadhana. So many people in this world, only a few hear about Dharma or real spirituality. I'm not talking about just a religiosity or ritualism. But real spirituality is when there is that connection between the unit consciousness, the individual, and the cosmic consciousness. And every human being is the same. Every human being, independent of where we live, our status, our religion, our age, everyone wants to feel good, wants happiness, wants peace, and wants it all the time. So we want the infinite. So real spirituality is what puts us in connection with that source, that infinite source. That's real spirituality. So that's Dharma. And so very few people come in contact with real spirituality. And from those, very few start understanding it and started practicing it. And from those, very few continue and persevere. And those few who attain the goal, they really are special. So now the main thing here is persevere, never stop, continue. What's the difference between somebody who became a PhD and somebody who was a high school dropout? The difference is just that one gave up and the other didn't give up. If that high school dropout have continued, he would also have become a PhD. It was a matter of putting effort and continue moving. And the same way the other one kept moving, this one keeps moving, they reach the same place. And the third very important point of today is where to concentrate. Never concentrate on the obstacles and start trying to understand why this is happening, why that is happening, and then we are studying why this happens, why that happened. Maybe it's my karma or this or that. But if we go in that direction, we miss the boat. So what to think? Think about the Supreme. Study about how to reach the Supreme. Practice how to reach the Supreme. And all these accessory, these obstacles will fall, will, like Tantra. What's the idea of Tantra? Tan means to expand. Tra means to liberate. So liberate through expansion. Let's say that there is something, for example, just think of water in a pipe. Now the pipe freezes, the water freezes inside the pipe. What happens when the water freezes? It expands. When it expands, what it happens? The pipe breaks. So in the same way, when we expand our consciousness through practice, whatever is limiting our expansion just breaks as a result of that expansion. So by expanding, liberation comes. By concentrating on the Supreme, we reach the Supreme. If we concentrate on the obstacle and how to overcome this obstacle, how to overcome that, why this thing is happening, why that is happening, our life is going to be more complicated and we may not reach the goal. So that's a very important point on today's presentation. Okay, so reaching the end here. Time for questions. If anybody has any questions, you can type on the chat. Okay, the first question is, it is very difficult not to think of the obstacle. Sure, it might be difficult, but it's a practice. When we notice that this is happening, then we try to keep our mind focused. So everything is result of practice. It's the tendency of the mind. Yes, there is an obstacle, the mind will think about it. But now we have to prevent the mind from doing that. We have to hold it back. So that comes through practice. Even meditation, mind will go in different directions, but through practice, we will attain a better control of the mind. So practice is the key. To be very regular in the practice. And when we are practicing, maybe sometimes it's difficult. Maybe sometimes we are not getting concentration. We are having difficulty. But still, that's the moment we need to continue the practice. We should not think that, oh, when I'm very easy to concentrate, then I practice. When I cannot concentrate well, then I don't practice. It's not like that. Practicing is like a training. So we are training ourselves. Like, just think, when you go to the gym to exercise, it's tiring. You have to put effort. You may come out with a little bit pain, maybe the muscles are paining, but it means it's working. It means your body will respond to that, and your muscles will develop, you become stronger, you become more fit. It is not that you will think, oh, no, I started doing, oh, today it's not so easy, so I stop. Then there will be little progress. So even if mind is going towards the obstacles, we have to check it and redirect it. Practice. Okay. Okay. I think there are no more questions coming here. Thank you very much and namaskar.